Okay, this is Rock and Robbie SF from the ECF forums and a star on YouTube. And we have a little situation. Is the second batch of the Stardust cartomizers or claromizers are really hard to get apart, and some people have been complaining a lot of that on the ECF forums. And one person on the ECF forums, Antfuzz, went ahead and found out one way she could remove the or take apart the Stardust is using a, I think she said a 3/8, I'll double check the sizes, of a copper tubing that would go into slide over the entire Stardust. You'd have to take the wick out, it would slide over, and you could hammer it in. So I went to the hardware store and I was looking for different ways we might be able to use that hammering method. And what I found was this steel rod, and this one is 1/4 inch. It's solid steel. I don't know if you can read that, but it's a stainless steel rod, 1/4 inch, 6.35 millimeters. And so I'm going to try to use this to hammer my center core out of my Stardust. And I'm going to sacrifice a brand new Stardust. So, opening it up. Now we're not really sure why the second batch is a little bit harder to get apart than the first batch. I mean, we could be cynical and think that they saw us reusing the Stardust and they wanted to make it harder to get apart. But I think that they were just under pressure to make, I think Gotvapes on the ECF forum said there were 10,000, a batch of 10,000 that went out. So it just could be they're cutting corners or really being efficient with their manufacturing process. But whatever it is, they've made the new Stardust really tight. And what I have is an old, burnt out Kago battery. If you ever see me using a battery with the tape on it, this one's burnt out, or short-circuited actually. And trying to get this apart, it's just really, really hard. So let's try to hammer it apart. By the way, this is the version 1, this is the version 2. Now if we can get a close-up on this, you can see the second version, they have the actual millimeters or milliliters etched into the plastic. And I don't even know why they keep insisting on having this little measuring gauge, because I don't think anyone uses it. Now the first version, this is a rewicked version 1, doesn't have the milliliters etched on it. And this one is easy to take apart, and it's kind of sad that it's that they've redone it so it's hard to take apart. But let's go ahead and try to ruin my brand new Stardust. So I'm going to take off the cap. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to bother taking out the top cap. I'm just going to put out of the silicone or the wick or anything. If you do Antfuzz's method, she pulls everything out and has a sheath, that copper tubing that goes over the entire inside, and then she pounds it out. But I'm just going to try to use this steel rod, which I got from Ace Hardware store, and to pound it down. Let's see what happens. I'm feeling it going down, so I know something's happening. And this is a hard surface, but I put a towel down to help absorb the shock, and I'll push this all the way down, or I've pounded this all the way down. and it just comes out. And I want to make sure I didn't deform the top here. And it looks okay. I think I might have bent the metal a little bit. No, actually it looks good. The metal cap, might be a little bit bent. But if it is, you can reshape it, or as long as it does what it's supposed to do and fit over the top. Now to reinstall this, I'm just going to use my Kago as a hammering tool. Now if you have a live battery, I'm not sure if you want to do this or not. I'm just going to tap it back until it goes flush. That's the Kago. And that's back together. Okay, I'm back. I have my good battery now. I have a sugared peaches, which I just ordered from RAR. Probably should steep, but I'm just going to try this anyway. And I'm filling this up. Feels nice and easy as usual. Capping it. It's okay. No leaking. So I don't know if this is the best way to take the Stardust apart, but it does work pretty well, and it does make it a lot easier. Once again, I'm just using a steel rod. I wish I had the tools to cut it down a little bit shorter. And I wish it was just slightly thicker, just a little bit thicker. And you can experiment with different things to try to put it over the top to pound down the center core, and then use, if you hopefully have an old Kago or Ego, to pound it back in. And that's it. I hope it helps you. Live long and vape.